Hello, everyone, and welcome to Out of the Spirit Box with Avani, Heather, and Vale. In this podcast, we talk about all things paranormal and true crime related while desperately attempting to stay on topic. If that sounds like fun to you, then take a seat, turn the lights on, and join us for this episode of Oosp. So the Warrens.
This is all you guys this time.
So I scanned it before we got on here. And the only thing that I saw in my quick scan that contradicted what I found was that Lorraine had paranormal activity in her early years that piqued her interest. It's not exactly contradictory because what I found was that she did have these early experiences with her clairvoyance, but she didn't believe in hauntings until she experienced it with Ed.
I haven't done research, but I have heard some things about the Warrens. I know that Ed, younger, had experiences, but I never heard that Lorraine did.
Yeah, for her it was just the psychic and clairvoyant experiences.
Yeah, she would see like auras around people. She would see like lights, but nothing that struck her as paranormal. It was just
she got vibes.
She got vibes.
In layman's terms, she got vibes.
But Ed always believed in paranormal, right?
Yeah,
well,
it looks like it.
The overview is Ed and Lorraine Warren were famous American demonologists and clairvoyant medium of the 70s. I'm trying to give an overview so we can start the episode with something so people understand where we're going.
So one of their earliest cases was in the 50s. Through the 70s, but they shaped the paranormal community. It made it what it is today. So they started, their earliest case was in the 50s, the early 50s.
So they...
Through the 90s, really, and then Ed passed in the early 2000s, 2006, and Lorraine then passed in 2019. Yeah,
that was super sad when I found out that Lorraine had passed. I honestly, it's also pretty recent that I found out that they were alive while I was alive, so...
It does, the media really does portray it as if, this happened forever ago.
Yeah.
But it's actually very, very, very recent.
So, Ed and Lorraine, they met as teenagers. They met when they were both 16 years old, I think it said. And Ed is the only man she ever dated. So they were high school sweethearts. Ed was deployed in World War II. And I think it was he was coming back home for a little while and then going back again, or maybe it was after the war that he came back. I don't know history. They got married in 1945.
It's 1945 about around the... No, I actually don't know history, never mind.
I don't know history. So, whenever 1945 was in relation to the Second World War, that's when they got married. And Ed is the one who brought up the paranormal to Lorraine. He told Lorraine that his childhood home had been haunted.
1945, World War II ended. It was the end of World War II.
Yeah, so when he got
home. So when he got home. Okay. Yeah, and I think, because I watched several weeks ago when we first talked about doing this episode, I watched a lot of YouTube documentaries, and even the Warrens YouTube channel, they have a couple documentaries about Ed and Lorraine, of course. But it was very quick from what I remember, that he came home and he was like, let's get married.
It's like he came home and he was like,
I
oh,
have
we can
seen
finally
some
get married.
shit.
Just let's fucking do it.
I have some PTSD. Let's get married.
So so they got married. Ed said that he had a haunted childhood home, which, looking at your notes, Avani, Ed claimed to have witnessed an apparition of a ghostly figure in his childhood home, which left a lasting impression on him. When they got married, Ed had a hobby. He liked to paint haunted houses.
Mm-hmm.
So he would find these haunted houses and, talk to the owners. And one of the things in the documentary was that Lorraine apparently had a very open, friendly Irish attitude about her. And so she would be the one most often to talk to the homeowners that they would meet. But
So Ed would be like, hey, this house is haunted. Lorraine, can you go talk to them to see if we can get inside? And she's like, okay, I'm gonna go over there. And
not to get inside, I don't think, not at first.
yeah, I mean, I don't know about at first, but I do know eventually that's what they started doing.
Yeah.
They started asking people if they could go inside and investigate.
Yeah, at first it was like, hey, I'm gonna sit on your lawn and paint your house. So,
We're gonna sit on your lawn and just paint your house. It's very pretty for a haunted house.
but it's through that hobby that people would start opening up and saying, hey, come inside. Let me tell you about the hauntings here and shit like that. Let's see. Oh, it's also through that when they started going into the homes, there was one particular home that they went into that Lorraine reacted very strongly to with her clairvoyance. And that's how kind of the docs that I watched, that's kind of how she got interested into the paranormal with him, because she didn't realize that her clairvoyance would react to paranormal activity. She didn't really believe. I guess I don't remember. Avani, do you? If she believed or not at that point?
I don't recall. It's been a while since I've watched the doc.
Yeah.
I think that she did. I think that she believed there was more because they were both Catholic. Very devout Catholics. So
yeah, heavily Catholic.
Yeah. So that is that's taught. Ghosts are a thing. Demons are a thing. The afterlife is a thing.
I didn't know Catholicism
I didn't know that
taught about
Catholicism taught ghosts, and I've been Catholic since I was born.
I mean,
Catholic
so I was raised Catholic, and I was always taught about ghosts.
I
was taught about demons right alongside it.
I know demons were taught, but ghosts?
Yeah, I was taught about ghosts. Also, I guess along with that though, my dad was a real fucked up human being.
Yeah.
So
well, I will say, because right in my notes I put that they were of Roman Catholic faith, and I don't know if it's taught this way, but the Warrens assumed hauntings were all demons caused by a lack of faith in God in the victim's home. They heavily believe that.
So, okay, so I looked into that too.
Uh-huh.
And found that they believe that there were positive and benevolent entities.
Oh, interesting. So
yeah,
I watched...
because there was an investigation where Lorraine feels something good in the house, so they choose not to cleanse the house and only get rid of the bad thing.
Now, granted, I watched an interview with Ed. I don't know when the interview was, but I also know Ed was older during this interview, and he kind of sounded a little fucking nuts to me. So maybe his mind was slipping.
Also,
I'm not sure.
From what I have seen, Ed was more the sensationalist and Like, he was the more media one. Showman.
Yeah.
He was more of a showman. Like, Lorraine
Yeah.
was more of the, this is what's happening, this is what I'm telling you. And Ed was like, look over here.
Yeah,
Like,
you know
this-
what? I totally get that just from my memory of the interview where she was just very like, this is what we saw, this is what happened, and he was like, this is what it means.
This is what it means, and this is what I think, and this is what was happening.
Demons!
Yeah.
I did kind of get the impression from the doc that it was very much so much more like her having that connection to the spiritual realm
Yeah.
and him capitalizing on it.
So, like, he didn't really have, like, a gift per se. So, after...
He was just fascinated by it.
he was fascinated
Yeah.
by it. So, like, after the painting thing, this is all just coming off the top of my head, because I've consumed a lot of content. After the painting thing, that's when he started, like, really studying, like, demonology. He started going to, Christian studies and stuff like that, so that he could decipher the things that Lorraine was seeing or feeling or whatever.
And one of the things I wonder, because what I found, what I have in my notes, is that he was a self-taught and proclaimed demonologist. So, being so devout to the Roman Catholic faith and what they teach, you know, that could have seriously impacted his view on the paranormal, rather than having a more open mind to what it might be, you know?
Yeah, and like, so since he taught himself, it was just like he went to a library, found demonologist books that were like literally he went to like a fucking, I was gonna say conservatory, but that's not the word I'm looking for. But anyway, this big ass library, and was like looking for like Catholic books on demons and rites and stuff, and that's how he learned.
Oh yeah, Lorraine didn't originally believe in haunting until she had an out-of-body experience while Ed was interviewing the caretaker of a haunted property in New Hampshire that Ed had read about. I think that was one of their early home tours while he was still painting.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember if that was explicitly said, that she didn't believe in hauntings.
Yeah, I don't recall as far as the haunting portion of it went. Like, obviously, she believed in demons, angels, saints, like all that.
Yeah.
Which means you believe that there is more beyond this realm, but whether she believes it still walks in this plane of existence, I guess, is different.
And they said the out-of-body experience didn't scare Lorraine. Scared Ed, though. He had been trying to get her to respond to outside stimuli, and while trying to get Lorraine back, the homeowner said that happens to clairvoyants when they come in my house. So apparently this was a common occurrence for this homeowner.
I do recall that from the doc, yeah.
That happens.
That happens all the time.
She'll be fine.
And Ed's like, wake up, and she's just fucking having it, right, like, going through it.
I think my understanding of that is that that's when they both found out or confirmed that she was indeed clairvoyant.
So what I think was happening was Lorraine believed this stuff in theory, but she didn't believe it in practice until it happened to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is common for a lot of people. Like, I believe in the possibility, but I don't have any proof. I've never had an experience that proves it to me.
Yeah.
And then a little demon shows up in your house, and you're like, yeah, that'll do it.
Yep, they'll do it. That's a thing.
Another interesting factoid about Ed. And I think I wrote this down because at this point in my notes I was like, he's a little crazy. I wrote down that his mother was an alcoholic, and his father was a police officer, a boxer, and he fought in World War I, and so he was a straight-laced hard ass. So and I think I wrote that down because these notes are after these notes about Ed believing in vampires. So
I mean, they did have a werewolf case, so
Did they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
So-
look into this for the next part because there's a lot of stuff I remember off the top of my head from knowing a lot about Ed and Lorraine, but not things that I know specific details to.
Right.
hang on to that vampire idea for when we talk about black-eyed children, because
Ooh, I'm excited for that.
Oh god, I love black-eyed children. They're creepy as shit.
I have this theory that if they exist, they are a form of vampire.
All right, well, hold on to that.
That's your theory? You didn't find that somewhere? That's your theory?
Okay, so as I'm reading this, I'm like, all the details you're giving me tells me vampire. This says vampire.
No,
everything about this says vampire. Am I the first person to have this idea? No.
Probably not. No.
But did I read the word vampire after I thought the word vampire? Yes.
So this is more of the I guess we'll say the overview episode where we bring our notes to light before we dive into it. So one thing so I'll hold on to that a little bit. But one thing I did find out about Ed and Lorraine Warren that I didn't know about is they didn't charge for their services within homes. They made all their money from books and conferences. So I think that's pretty cool. They actually believed that they were helping people and doing it for the good of it, rather than making money, which is contradictory to what a lot of people who don't believe in the paranormal say about Ed and Lorraine Warren, because a lot of them say, oh, they were just in it for the money.
Yeah, a lot of people say that they just kind of made up this story to make money, that they're just capitalizing on these ideas to sell. It was like, but at first, they didn't have any money. This was just out of their pocket. They weren't selling anything. They were just going to these places, doing their thing, and for a lot of their major cases, they made jack shit. They made no money. This was nothing. It was later on, after they had like amassed such a like knowledge on the shit and a lot of items. Oh god damn it. A lot of items that they later put in a museum, that they started making money on, like their conferences, on giving talks about demons and ghosts and hauntings, and that's how they made their money afterwards. Which, I mean, makes sense. You have to make a living. You can't just... People like, oh, they're just selling their story and they're charlatans. What did you want them to do? Die of hunger? Like...
Well, and if you look at... Like, if you look at a lot of the organizations that they've influenced and the people that have actually, like, worked with them and trained with them and learned from them and knew them... They go into homes and help people in homes. They don't just go to these big asylums and hospitals and sites. Like, they go to actual people's homes and try and help actual people who believe that this is really impacting them.
Yeah. So 1945 was when they got married. They founded the New England Society for Psychic Research by 1952. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, which is the same year as their first case.
Is it?
Yes, so their first case was 1952 with the Donovan family.
The Donovan family.
Is that the Connecticut haunting?
One of them, yeah. Monroe, Connecticut. The family was experiencing a range of paranormal phenomena, including noises, moving objects on their own, and just feeling kind of dread and fear in the house. And it escalated to a point where they felt threatened and distressed in the home.
I mean, I think those are good feelings to have when things are moving shit around your house that you can't see. That makes sense. That reminds me of a case about a boot. Did you see that case about a boot? In somebody's attic?
Yes! Yes!
You know what? Vale, you're right. They didn't think all spirits were bad. Because this one house had a boot in the attic. And the family was saying the attic was this haunted place and they felt threatened and everything, and Ed and Lorraine somehow convinced them that the boot in the attic was protecting them.
Well, I have never heard that before, but
Yeah. It's pretty great. But speaking of boots...
I want to see how you stitch this together. Let's go.
Well, in one of the videos I watched, they said that they did not believe objects could be possessed, only attached. I don't know if you found anything on that.
So I haven't gone into that too deep. I really just kind of did like a surface timeline of like their well-known cases and how they got into it, but
Yeah.
I do have a couple notes on the museum.
Yeah, obviously the museum is just filled with all the haunted items they were given by homeowners, all the items with attachments.
Yeah.
things that were better locked up than out in the world.
Like Annabelle.
Like Annabelle.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy. Annabelle is one of my favorite stories. Is the haunted museum...
Good, that one's yours.
Really?
You can do it.
Oh, you don't want the haunted girl stuff.
Oh, I don't care.
Oh, okay.
I already started on The Devil Made Me Do It.
Oh,
The devil
okay.
made
I
me
remember
do
that
it.
one.
I don't remember.
It's okay. We'll get to it when we
Yeah,
get
we
to
get
it.
to it.
I'll hit it. I'll hit it in the overview.
Shit, I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, I was gonna ask, is Robert the Doll in Ed and Lorraine's museum?
Robert the Doll is currently in Florida somewhere. From it,
Oh!
I remember.
Oh shit. We gotta visit Vale so we can...
Or not. So, I don't...
I like how I
guys.
was Googling Robert the Doll and I actually wrote Roberto.
Roberto the Doll.
I don't, want to risk getting near something and it deciding, hey, this bitch is already fucked up in the head. Let me fuck with her some more.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I
mean, if you believe... I guess the last time we brought up Robert the Doll, the video cameras went out.
That
all
shit
at
was
the same time.
hilarious. I cannot believe how perfectly timed that shit happened.
Does that happen
And
often?
not too often, but it was just so hilarious because I made the joke, Robert doesn't like when you talk about him, and all the cameras went out, and I was like, what? Why did Discord decide at this moment to stop?
Right.
Key West.
Yeah, I was looking at it, but I didn't want to stop the conversation, but yeah, it's Key West, Florida.
Was it originally with them,
No,
or was it never with them?
I
We don't know.
can't tell you.
Jesus Christ, he's uncomfortable looking.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
I've never seen this before. Like, you guys threw me the fuck out.
Oh my god!
You've never seen
Hold
Robert
on.
the Doll?
So you know how Annabelle, in the media,
Mm-hmm.
has always, it's not really that often portrayed as the actual doll that it is. It's
Yeah.
usually some creepy doll.
Mhm.
For anybody who doesn't know, it's a Raggedy Ann doll.
I had one as a kid.
Yep, same.
My grandmother
No.
handmade me a Raggedy Ann doll when I was a kid. Not long after I received that Raggedy Ann doll, I found out that Annabelle was a Raggedy Ann. I shit you not, since I found out that Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll, the wonderful gift my grandmother made for me, handmade for me, has been in a white trash bag in the basement.
Damn. That's so sad.
I can't throw it out. My grandma made it for me, but it might be evil, so I had to put it in a trash bag in the basement.
You didn't just take it, to a church and get it cleansed just
It
to be
is
safe?
Still in that bag in the basement. In the same spot it's been for years.
So I'll be honest, I think when my mom found out that Raggedy Ann was Annabelle, I don't think I ever saw my Raggedy Ann again. I'm not sure if it was a me thing or my mom thing.
You gotta tell your mom about the story that I just told you and see what she says, because I think she's on my level.
She's like, I wasn't gonna risk it.
I think mine is in a tote in the closet.
Well, and you know the thing is, when I got the Raggedy Ann, I was like, that's very nice. I don't really like it. Like, it creeped me out a little bit. And then I found out about Annabelle, and I was like, nope, trash bag in the basement, dark corner, go stay there forever.
Yeah, like, I'm not sure if it was just that, like, I didn't like it, because I liked the Cabbage Patch Kids way better. And I had a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Uh-huh.
Or that my mom was like, fuck Annabelle. Because I didn't know Annabelle was a Raggedy Ann, because I didn't, like, consume any type of horror until I was, like, much older, so I wouldn't have thought anything about the Raggedy Ann.
My dad liked, like, gory, macabre horror stuff, so I got into that shit at an early age. And
my mom
you know,
was
and
like,
the other,
you have enough things to worry about because ghosts are real and they'll show up in this house every once in a while. So
the other thing is, like, I can't burn it. I can't throw it out. You know, I'm not gonna go to a church because I don't know.
Go to church?
You don't church. You don't church.
I don't. I don't
church either.
Churches are beautiful, but I try to stay away from them. But I've thought at least every few years I should donate it. What holds me back from donating it isn't that my grandmother made it, because I'm like, some child somewhere will love this more than I
more than this trash bag will.
But the thing that holds me back is the fact that my grandmother stitched a heart with my name in it.
Yo, that is so sad.
No. So it just sits in the trash bag.
What if you take, like, a picture of it and you keep the picture and you get rid of the doll?
I don't want to see it visually.
No, but you just stick it in the back of a photo album backwards, and then you have it, but you don't have it.
But if it's evil, it might get mad at me for throwing it out or giving it away.
Not evil. Your grandma made it with love.
Okay. So, do you think the Annabelle movie would have been freakier if they actually used a Raggedy Ann?
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because it would be more
100%.
real.
I thought it was a lost opportunity.
No, they couldn't do it because Raggedy Ann would sue the shit out of them.
True.
But they could have made a similar enough doll to imply it.
That's true too. A
You
Raggedy
know what I
Ann
mean? If they
2.0.
had put a Raggedy Ann, they'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna fucking ruin Raggedy Ann's," which I don't even know if they're still sold.
What if they just called it Ragged Annie? Ragged Annie.
Haggard Ann.
Haggard Annie. Shit.
Look, Haggard Anna. It's different now.
So, Ed believed he was born to be a demonologist. He believed that you didn't become a demonologist, you had to be born to be a demonologist. He was a troublemaker in school, which no surprise from the family environment he grew in. He felt he knew what life, and particularly the dark side of it, he felt like he knew what that was all about. And these are things that I'm listing because he sounded a bit nuts.
Yeah, fucking Ed gives me a lot of pause, but Lorraine feels
Lorraine
so
is
real to me.
Lorraine is pure, and I wish she was also a grandmother of mine. And Ed also grew up in a rough neighborhood. Ed had a rough start to most things. Ed supposedly lived in a haunted house from ages 5 to 12. Later in life, he felt that it was preparation for his work as a demonologist. So he felt like he was supposed to be there. He felt like he was either born with the knowledge or was presented with the knowledge of the paranormal from an angel or spiritual guide. I didn't mean to laugh. Sorry.
I didn't mean to laugh. It just only sounds a little bit absurd.
And he claims that many different clergy and people of importance in the church realized that he knew a lot about the supernatural. So,
though I have a commentary on that. Even though certain like demons and angels are taught in Christianity, a lot of Catholics, especially of the newer age, don't believe in any of that shit. So like demonologists aren't a thing, exorcists are barely a thing. There's like only a handful in the entire world. So it's not surprising that they were like, oh wow, Ed knows a lot, because most don't believe in it at all, even though it's kind of part of the religion.
One of the things that I did find out about them is that when they felt exorcisms were necessary, they didn't perform them at all. They always contacted Catholic priests. Apparently. I wasn't there.
You can't have an exorcism by a priest unless it's verified and given approval by the Vatican.
The Vatican.
Yes.
Because they don't want to just say, oh yeah, have an exorcism. Oh, here, have an exorcism. Because they don't want to, like, for multiple reasons. A lot of times they just think it's mental illness. And they don't want to, like, sensationalize that the Catholic Church is in its old ways and they're old-timey, brimstone-y. Which...
Okay.
Still think about it anyway, because have you, like, never been to a church and seen these fucking ass wipes? But that's just my commentary.
Totally separate conversation for another episode. But have you guys seen the story about the girl, I believe in Germany, who had the exorcism and ended up dying?
Annalise Michelle.
Thank you.
No.
Okay,
Yes.
hold on. Writing her name down. That's a great story.
I know a little bit about everything.
Yeah, apparently you really do.
I don't retain names.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so in the interview I watched where they were talking about how they don't do their own exorcisms, they did bring that up, how it was difficult when they felt they wanted an exorcism done, because first they had to locate an exorcist, then they had to locate an exorcist that would take the case, then they had to build the case.
Then they had to submit the approval.
Yes. So they did talk about how it was a fucking process.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, maybe just go over and do the exorcism, because at that point, like...
A lot of the times they would just opt out and just, like, do a cleansing because they couldn't do a full exorcism because they couldn't.
Right.
They didn't, well, because they're Catholic, they didn't believe they had the ability to do it, right? Like, don't you, in Catholicism, don't you have to be a priest to be able to perform an exorcism?
In general, they like to go through the steps, and very few people, like, know what to do. So it's like, you can't just go to any priest and be like, hey, can you do an exorcism? They're like, I don't fucking know. Like, I've never heard of this shit in my life.
Yeah. I have one more thing about Ed. Very small little bit. Oh, wait. Do we want to hear the Ed vampire debacle? Because I wrote a small paragraph about it.
Small paragraph. Go for it.
Go for it.
All right. Before we get to that, Ed's mother had cancer. Based off of the recommendation of, I think it was somebody at church, they took her to a shrine in Montreal. I don't know if I believe this, but...
I didn't roll my eyes at the idea. I was like thinking, because I know there's certain sites in Catholicism where they believe can heal the sick. I didn't know Montreal was one of them.
I didn't even know you rolled your eyes. I just said I didn't know if I believe it, because that's it's just a lot.
Yeah, it's a leap there.
For that time of existing. So yeah, someone had told Ed that the shrine can bring miracles, not necessarily healing, just miracles. His mother, at the point, had the cancer throughout her entire body. She was in pain, weak, and unable to eat. After the trip to Montreal, the cancer went away overnight, She no longer had pain and had a healthy appetite. Apparently, he just woke up the next day and found her eating and chatting away. The doctors previously had told her she was stage 4. She lived for 22 years after their trip to Montreal. Exploratory surgery was performed and they couldn't find a single trace of the cancer.
Damn, that shrine gave off a lot of radiation.
Yeah, there is a thing in medicine called spontaneous remission.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Which, as the name suggests, spontaneous.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
Out of
really, they
nowhere.
don't have like real hard facts on how and why it happens.
Yeah, that is kind of suspicious because, like, if
I don't know if the
cancer-
shrine did it, but spontaneous remission is a thing, and it
Yeah.
can happen.
Well, if the cancer at that point has weakened your body so much, it's like, how does it just, oh, the cancer's tired now, it's just gonna fuck off? Like,
Hold on.
that's so crazy.
That's so
that's-
weird medicine things.
That is, like, literal miracles at that point, but I'm sure there has
There has to be some type of reason. I'm
some
assuming.
scientific
As
reason
someone
that
who
we just,
studied a lot of medicine, I feel
that
like
we
there's
just haven't. Well, when you think about it, like, there's so much we still don't know. So there's some sort of science-y bullshit happening. We just
We just
haven't
don't
been
know what
able
it is.
to. Yeah. All right. So that's everything on Ed. Now let's get to the vampire story, and that's the last thing I have on Ed. So
I forgot to raise my hand. Every time that I do the cut, I have to raise my hand to uncut. So I get to know where I cut, but then I have to listen to the whole thing to find where I have to uncut. Like, I keep forgetting that shit.
So I believe I got this directly from an interview with Ed. The interview where he was old and sounded kind of crazy. Ed had a high spiritual yogi friend who told him,
I feel like Vale and I made actual eye contact for that.
oh,
I am assuming it was Heather.
Heather, did something happen in your house? Like, is Chloe in the room with you?
yeah.
Did
She's
she
in the
make a
room?
noise?
Oh, she
Okay.
was moving around?
Yeah, she jumped down. Don't
I hear
scare me.
and I was like
It was her nails,
yeah. I was like, those are nails. I was like, what the fuck is that? Heather, Avani and I just make eye contact. We're like,
See, when you two were making those pointing things, I was like, did you see something in one of the cameras? Like, what the fuck is going on?
I was like, did Vale hear that too? Because nobody else
but the way that
but
we
Heather
both kind of
lit
like
up.
cocked our heads to the side, like,
Yeah, no, Chloe, we kept the lounge chair in here for her, so she jumps up and down off of it.
And I know you have an earphone off, and you didn't react. So
yeah,
I was like,
that's why I thought it was weird, because Heather didn't even flinch. She wasn't like, oh, hey, Chloe, or nothing. She was like, kept with her story, did not stop. And we're like,
I'm
well,
so used
I
to
heard
Chloe's
that.
bullshit.
am I the only one that heard that?
Oh, yeah, no, not haunted, at least not that I know of. So Ed's high spiritual yogi friend is the one that originally told him that vampires are real. Ed believed by the teachings of his friend that vampires are people who studied black magic, seeking power, and made a pact with the devil. Once the pact is made, the person enters a catatonic state, at which time they are placed into a coffin and buried in an old cemetery. This shit is all from Ed's mouth. Their
It also
spirit
sounds like a combination of different lores.
Yes. Their spirits leave their bodies during the psychic hours of the night between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. to physically feed on the blood of their victims in order to keep their bodies preserved. Their spirit leaves their body.
All right, please explain to me how the incorporeal spirit
physically feeds.
Physically feeds on blood.
Now, what I really want to know is, how was Lorraine's face, or was he by himself?
He was by himself.
Okay.
It was just
What I want to
him
know
and
is
his
what was
interviewer.
Lorraine's face.
Imagine you hearing your husband saying some batshit shit, and he's sitting right next to you, and you're just like, the fuck is wrong with you right now?
Now you guys understand why I said in this interview, I was like, he's off his fucking rocker. So
Like, we've gone through a lot of shit and a lot of hauntings, but this is a new one.
So 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. they physically feed with their spirit on somebody to keep their body preserved in the coffin in the ground.
But why then? Why?
I don't know.
What's the purpose at that point of keeping the body preserved?
Then they possess someone of weak body and spirit for the night to enjoy being alive and able to drink, fuck, do drugs, murder, etc. They must return to their bodies before the sun, God's light, returns. Oh God. If they do not, their connection to their body is severed, and they become stuck in a black place, forever searching for the other spirits, during which time they can force their way out and end up possessing another body temporarily.
No, this hurts.
Ed's account of vampires.
That sounded so crazy.
I fucking know, right? And like, okay, well,
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a great fucking movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. That sounds like a really good outline for a fucking movie.
here's the thing.
But like, he's talking
Netflix,
about things
call
that are
us.
already hard to believe. Like, you're talking about demons, they're already hard to believe. And then he just like jumped the shark with the fucking vampire lore.
His mistake was starting with my high spiritual yogi friend. For me, that was where I was like, all right.
Well, this is gonna go take a left turn.
Yeah, and then everything following that was just, what?
Are you writing a fan fiction, Ed? What is going on?
So, yeah, that is,
I would
yeah.
just like to know, of all the cases they turned into films, why did nobody make that a movie?
Well, that's what I was about to say, right? I think everybody who ever heard this thought he was so batshit at that point that they just immediately dismissed it. Because, like, what?
It was like, well, dementia's getting to him.
I mean, okay, but consider what this guy has been through at this point. Like, he was in World War II, which was fucking horrific.
Mm-hmm.
And then
He had an abusive, alcoholic mother, a father who was a hard ass.
right, and then
Grew up in a rough area.
He went around hunting demons.
Yeah.
Which
Look,
is its
I'm not-
own PTSD.
Right,
Yeah.
like, I'm not throwing shade at hunting demons. Like, we literally sit here and talk about this shit for hours. So,
Yeah, but that's just because it's fun.
no,
I think I believe in some of that shit, like, for sure.
yeah.
I believe in some of it, just not the high spiritual yogi friend of Ed Warren.
That
In the
told him a
1900s.
recount of how vampires work. Because yogis are the best scholars when it comes to vampirism.
I want to know what drug his yogi was doing when he came up with that idea.
Dude, it had to have been like acid or something.
Like, whatever it
good.
was, it had to be contracted through the air because it caught Ed in the middle of it and he believed it.
Yeah.
Like, in the middle of that yogi's high.
He was
Ed
like,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I see it too!
They were in a smoke tent.
Yeah. So, moving on from Ed, or did anybody else have anything else they wanted to add about Ed?
Nope, I've gone all through my tangents while you were telling your stories.
Yeah.
Now, Lorraine, I found a lot less on Lorraine, but to be honest, I think I was drawn in a lot on the Ed nonsense because it was just some nonsense.
But I also have a feeling that there would be less on her because, again, she was less the showman. She wasn't all about trying to get the attention.
The only things that I found easily, I'm sure there's more if I were to dig. The only things I found easily of her alone was in old age after Ed had passed. Anytime I saw her was in an interview with Ed. So, but some things about Lorraine. She had a very loving, stable family dynamic.
Very different.
Very different. Oh, this kind of applies to both of them. But I found in the interviews I was watching, at least Lorraine, I don't know if Ed was just going along with it, because he's very, but they were very respectful of other religions through the lens, for somebody who's a monotheist and such a hardcore monotheist. They're so very respectful. They didn't say a damn thing about, they made the implication that the hauntings are due to a lack of belief in God, but they didn't say anything bad about other religions. They didn't, in fact, I think a couple times they mentioned that they didn't fault anybody for believing what they believed in. So I thought that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's like, I believe my thing, but I'm not gonna fucking shit on you for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what I hope everyone would fucking do.
Yeah, right. Mind your own fucking business. Like, but the only thing that I found that really pulled my attention on Lorraine was that the fact that she said she can read auras and obviously detect the presence of spirits. But she says, other than people's auras change constantly, babies, she's seen the auras of babies, and she says babies have very pure auras until they start to grow and develop personalities.
Yeah.
Which is how
that sounds about right.
That's how she described it. But I kind of got hooked up on that because babies have personalities, don't they?
But, like, not a lot, because they don't have too much complex thinking.
Yeah.
Babies aren't developed enough to have very hard, very, like, a strict way of thinking. They're more like, they're kind of more like an animal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'd agree with that. And then I ended my notes with a quote. And I can't remember if it was Ed or Lorraine who said this, but they said, "Death is not an end. It is a beginning." I thought that was adorable. So yeah, those are my notes on Ed and Lorraine.
There is the overview on Ed and Lorraine.
The overview. So, Avani, did you want to add anything?
So I have just a quick timeline of most of their bigger cases.
Okay.
Like some of the ones they're more well known for. So we already talked about 1952. Their earliest known one was the Donovan family in Monroe, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And then there's another one in 1952, the haunting in Harrisville, Rhode Island, which is the Perrin family. And this is the family that The Conjuring is based off of.
Yeah, as soon as you said the name, I remembered. The first Conjuring is the Perrin family.
The Conjuring.
Yep, 2013 version.
Yeah, I had to say the title to remember the storyline. Which it's a wild movie. When I saw The Conjuring, I was like, Jesus.
When I saw the first Conjuring, I was like, wow, the first really good horror movie I've seen in such a long time. It was a different type of horror movie. It was, I think in The Conjuring was the time where my husband kicked the popcorn because he got so scared he kind of dropped it and he kicked it.
When I first saw The Conjuring, I watched it at home with my dad. And then I wanted to show it to my boyfriend. I wanted to watch it with my boyfriend at the time. And he paused it in the middle because I had to go up and go to the bathroom. And I was like, all right, I need to go down your creepy ass dark hallway in this goddamn apartment. Go to the bathroom. You keep watching it. I've already seen it. Well, he paused it. So I go to the bathroom and on the way to the bathroom, his room is at the end of the hall, right? So you walk straight down through a door, there's his room. On the left, there are 2 doors. One was his roommate's room, one was an empty room. The empty room didn't have a door. And it had blackout curtains. It was an empty room. You couldn't see in it. It was pitch black. I'm a bitch. So I'm freaked out just walking past this room in the dark. So I go to the bathroom and I'm coming back, and as I pass that room, I hear heavy footsteps rapidly approaching me from that room. Granted, I am drunk as fuck right now. This motherfucker hid in the dark ass room, and not for nothing, he was a dark ass man. So I didn't see shit. I just heard these footsteps running at me, and I screamed bloody fucking murder. I'm surprised his neighbors didn't call the cops, because I screamed, and then, you know, when your drunk brain is scared, it catches up slowly. And as soon as I was done screaming, I dissolved into sobs.
Oh no!
I was so mad at him. But I had to give it to him. It was a really good scare. So yeah, that happened in the middle of watching The Conjuring anyway. I'm still fucking mad about it.
That's some shit I would do to somebody.
I'm still so angry about it.
I don't blame you.
I thought I was gonna die.
I could never. I'm not that much of a dick. Like, the only thing, we were back in college, we were at some guy's dorm, and he was playing the game Amnesia.
Oh, Amnesia. That's a good
chicken
one.
Shit.
Yeah.
So we were all watching. There were like 5 of us in this room watching him play, and one by one we left the room. And one of them said, "Let's tap on the wall," because the walls were really thin, and freak him out. And I was like, "You guys are assholes. You guys are assholes." Right before he went to start tapping on the door, the guy comes out. "What are you guys doing? You're leaving me alone. I'm already scared."
Oh shit. Yeah, Amnesia is an old game at this point, right?
Yeah, it's pretty old.
Yeah, but when it came out, it was good. It was a scary ass game.
I didn't play it. Still pretty good. I can't play it because it has a motion blur, and that shit makes me dizzy as shit, and there's no way to turn it off.
Yeah, those old games with their lack of customized gameplay is the words that I was trying to get out of my mouth.
Alright, continue.
In 1966, they did the Bridgeport Poltergeist, which is Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is the Gooden family.
The Gooden.
Gooden family.
I don't remember that one.
And then they did a bunch in the 70s, so there are 2 I just have in the 1970s. I didn't grab the exact dates for. One is the Borley Rectory in England, which was...
Yeah, they got around.
Yeah. At the time, it was considered to be one of the most haunted houses in the world. And then another one was the Enfield Poltergeist, also in England.
They turned that one into a movie.
Yes.
Oh, they did?
Yep. Yeah. It was a good movie. It was a good movie.
What movie?
Was it just another Conjuring? Or was it something else? But the Enfield one was pretty good.
Conjuring 2.
Okay.
Yep. It was good. You should watch it. It was legit.
No, I've seen The Conjuring 2. I didn't know it was based off of Enfield, England. But I don't really look into things. So...
It was in England where they did the werewolf one.
Oh. Was that also in the 70s?
I'm assuming.
Probably. They did a lot of their work was in the 70s.
Yeah. That's when business was booming.
Well, that's
like
because
around the time the Satanic Panic.
Yeah, Satanic Panic.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's because
sense.
yeah, that's exactly why. So then 71 was the Smurl haunting in Pennsylvania.
Smurl.
74 was Amityville Horror, which was the Lutz family.
Mm-hmm.
75 was this, I'm gonna say this wrong, Snedeker House. In Southington, Connecticut. Which is a funeral home, actually.
Oh, okay, I think I know which that one is. That was the one with the boy that had cancer?
I don't have the full details on my timeline. I'd have to jump down. And then in 81, they went back to the Smurl house in Pennsylvania because they were still having issues.
Oh, that sucks for them.
And then in 86, I'm so excited about this one.
Oh!
The demon murder trial.
Yeah!
Yeah, the person who Arnie Cheyenne Johnson.
Yeah, I don't
was
know
accused
much
of
about
murder,
it.
but was claiming demonic possession as their defense, and the Warrens testified in the trial.
Yeah,
and it's funny. If it had been like any other way, they probably would have won the trial because they had so much evidence. But the judge was like, demonic possession is not a thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember hearing that the jury was like, wow, this is all a bunch of compelling evidence. And they're like, in the state of law, their possession is not a thing. And in the state of law, there is no, I didn't do it, the ghost did it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, yeah, then he's guilty.
So that's the demon murder trial. In 87, they went back to the Snedeker house.
Is that the third time? Oh no, they went to the Smurl house.
Yeah, second time.
Okay.
And then in 91, they testified in another court case in a trial called The Devil Made Me Do It about David Gletzel. Probably said that wrong. And then they had the occult museum. So they did like other stuff in between, like some other cases, but those are kind of the ones that everybody's super aware of.
Yeah.
And then they did a lot of traveling, like to Japan, Australia, Ireland, places like that. They did some investigations, but mostly it was for lecturing. And it's kind of hard to find info on specific cases they helped on in some of those countries.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So which one did you have the question on? The funeral home one, right? Smurl?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fucking awesome.
The funeral home one where they put the boy who had cancer in the basement where they did the autopsies.
Hey,
Because
have
there
you
was a
guys-
bathroom in the back.
Have you guys, are you guys familiar with the game that came out recently, The Mortuary's Assistant?
I've seen it, and I think it's on my list, but I haven't played it.
It is, very freaky. I would recommend if you want to play a horror game. If you don't, I would still recommend that you watch somebody play it, because it is really cool. Super cool. I found out... Well, I didn't find out. I kind of always have had a mild fascination with funeral homes and mortuaries. So, but I don't know why. Just dead people, I guess. I don't know, but
Macabre, you know how it is.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, my dad was super into that type of stuff. But I think it's interesting that we don't hear, like, all other... I guess there have most likely been other cases, but you don't hear too often about hauntings in funeral homes.
I've heard a bunch.
Really?
Just have to know where to look.
I would figure that would be more prevalent and bigger in news, because there should be... I mean, you got a bunch of dead people going there, you'd think there'd be hundreds of ghosts.
Actually, I think I was watching some, have you ever watched, like, A Haunting and, stuff like that?
Yes.
So there was a series that was like that, but only for hospitals and morgues.
Ooh.
So that was pretty cool.
You know what? I guess I didn't consider all the ones that I saw about hospitals. They do have their own morgue.
And like, the other thing is, I have a cousin who was once a mortuary assistant. He is one of the biggest scaredy cats ever.
Damn, I was gonna say you should have him play the game.
And like, when we were younger, my mom would like say a scary story and then have to walk him to his car.
Aww.
Because he was too scared to go to the car by himself.
That's so adorable, though.
Like, this man is, I think, like 10 years older than me. So I think I was like 14, he was 24. My mom would tell a scary story and then have to walk his ass to the car.
You know, the only movie that ever scared me so much that I couldn't, like, sleep unless, like, the door was open and a light was on was the first Paranormal Activity.
Oh, that was hilarious.
You thought it was hilarious?
Surprisingly,
I thought those movies were comical.
Everything after, like, the first one really got me. The second one kind of got me. Everything after that, I was just like, all right, whatever. But I guess maybe because the first one was so unique for when it came out, as opposed to the other movies that I had seen, it really fucking scared the shit out of me.
Oddly, like, I never got scared by any scary movies, except for one, which is a weird one to get scared from. What's it called? The Fourth Kind. It's an alien one, where it shows clips of a lady therapist, talking to abduction victims.
Is it based on real stories?
It's supposedly based on real stories. It's a bunch of reenactments and a bunch of Hollywood. But that shit actually had me scared for a really long time. Now when I watch it, it's like, oh, okay, I don't know why I was so scared. But when I was younger, that shit fucking wrecked me. Especially while I was watching it. It was like a really spooky part. And a bird flew into the window and knocked over some metal pipes onto my window. And I lost a few years off my life.
Shit. That's just rude of the universe.
Like, it was a really, really scary part in the movie. And this bird, there were like pipes laid up on side of the window, and they were metal windows. They're not like glass. They're just metal panes. They're hurricane-proof windows.
Yeah.
And there were pipes laid out because I think they were I don't know what they were doing, some type of construction. And the bird slammed into them, slammed into the window. All the pipes hit the window. A big racket happened, and I lost like 5 years off my life.
Yeah, I probably would have shit myself.
Fucking, I paused the movie and then didn't go back to watch it for like 20 minutes.
Yup, been there. Yeah, I get it.
I was like, pause, goes to the kitchen, gets a snack, walks around, stretches my legs. The other thing I was home alone. So
you know what usually happens is when a movie gets me, like a movie or a show, it starts to freak me out a little bit. My body always alerts me at the moment that I decide to pause and have a break that I have to pee, and for some reason I get so freaked out going into the bathroom. I do not know why.
I was always scared there was going to be someone behind the shower curtain when I went to the bathroom at night, so every time I went to the bathroom for like 10 years, I'd smack the curtain open.
Girl, I check my fucking shower all the time still. I'm always like, there's gonna be a murderer. Murderer or a ghost hiding in there.
First off, like, why would the murderer hide behind the shower? Like, is he just counting on whenever I'm gonna take my anywhere from, like, midnight to 4 a.m. pee
Right, I know.
Like, is he really just gonna wait that long?
No, you know
He's
what?
not gonna come into the room and stab me. He's gonna go into the bathroom
Right.
and he's like, I got this.
You know how
Right.
my brain justifies it? My brain is like, oh, he heard me get out of bed and he needed to hide somewhere fast.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have heard him.
I know.
Moving behind the. No, I'm not coming at you. I have had the same fear, and I'm coming at our brains.
I know you are. No, it's so ridiculous.
It is.
So ridiculous.
It's so crazy that
But
our
then you
brains
hear-
decide this is how it is, and logically, there's no fucking way. Come on.
But then you hear stories in the podcasts and the things where it's like, oh, I didn't hear anything. I didn't even know. And it's like, fuck.
But the thing is also your brain blocks out trauma. Like, automatically, your brain will just block trauma out.
Yeah.
So you very well could have heard it, and then something horrific happened, and your brain blotted it out, trying to protect you.
Right.
So,
I was about to say, well, that was the end of the Warrens.
yeah. I got distracted, realizing I hadn't bolded some things that needed to be bolded for readability, and that's what I've been doing.
I was wondering, because I was like,
asking me questions, and I'm like,
I thought you were looking something up, and that you were gonna interrupt us in the middle of conversation with your thing.
I was waiting for us to finish conversation, and then she continued where she left off.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there was just like absolute quiet, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, shit.
I was like, wasn't she? But I thought.
I feel like though at the end of these we should do like a wrap up, because when the episode ends, it's so abrupt.
Yeah.
So
I'm not-
next time we're doing more detailed shit about the Warrens.
Yeah. Well,
Next
we'll
time
keep
I'll
talking.
now that I'm not dying, I'll do some researching. What was
Unless
the thing that
she
I
starts dying again.
the werewolf was the main one that you had never heard of.
Yeah. Avani wrote some stuff down too, but I don't think it was strictly Warrens related.
I made some notes about other things that we wanted to talk about.
Oh, I think what we said, or what Avani had said, is that each of us can choose a case to go into detail in our research with.
Oh, from the Warrens, yeah, that would be a lot easier.
Yeah. I think it would. Well, I think it would help using the thing that you found, Avani, as like a touch point. To just
Yeah.
be like, here's basic information, now make sure it's right and add to it.
That's basically what I did, is like I used it. So like for The Devil Made Me Do It, I used it and did this, and I was like, oh, I don't know that much about The Devil Made Me Do It. Like all the other ones are fucking movies. I know about those.
The Devil Made Me Do It was a movie.
Was it?
Well, the first one. Because there's two of them where they went to court.
Yes, it's The Devil Made Me Do It, and then Demon something.
Yeah, because Arnie, whatever
Demon
his
Murder
fucking
Trial.
name was a movie, and it was titled "The Devil Made Me Do It."
Oh, shit.
Well, then I just never saw it.
I thought so. I was like, that just it just sounded like a thing, you know? I'm a little high.
Yeah.
It's
So
I wish I was.
I started like doing some more research on that one.
Uh-huh.
But they're all in here. As well as just some other stuff.
Thank you so much for listening. If you liked what you heard and want to hang out with us some more, be sure to check out our page where you can find links to our other shows and projects. Bye!